Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Handhelds. I'm Joey, and today we're going to be taking a look at the TrimUI Smart. Special thanks to Go Game Geek for sending this over. I'll leave a link in the description to their website so you can see where you can buy this from. As usual, they have no input in what I say, and they haven't seen this review ahead of time. So I actually really like this little device, and I kind of wish that I would have went with the green, but it's actually teal color, because I think that's a little bit more fun than just the boring white that I got. But I think it's a really fun novelty device, and this is $65 on Go Game Geek's website right now, and I consider it 100% to just be a novelty purchase. It's not really going to compete with other devices in this price range for power and a lot of that, even though it actually does have a few more features that other devices don't in this price range. But again, because of the size of the screen and all of that, I just consider it to just be a novelty purchase, but one that's actually usable and fun to actually play with. I think if you have your main handhelds already purchased and you're looking for some fun ones just to have fun with, something like RG Nano, RG280V, TrimUI Smart, then this fits right in with those, and I think it's a good purchase for that. Someone in the Discord called this a thermostat, and after seeing it, I can't unsee it. So thank you, Sleepy Medic, for that one, but once you see it, it actually looks like a Honeywell thermostat. I tried to think of how to show off just how small this actual device is, and figured I would use the RG35XXH, which is the brand new one from Ambernick. Reason being, it's basically about the same size as an RG351P or RG353M, which a lot of people had, so you can see just how small it is in comparison. Now, I mentioned it before, but what's funny about this device is it actually has better features and more features than a lot of other devices in this price range. For example, it has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, and it has over-the-air updates. Where if you look at something that just came out, like the RG35XXH, it has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, but it's only for gamepads, and it doesn't have over-the-air updates. So it's kind of funny to compare the two. Power-wise, this will do some PlayStation 1, but you're just not going to have a good time with how small this 2.4-inch screen is, so you'd probably just be avoiding that anyways. The speakers aren't the greatest, and you'll probably keep them at low volume for most of the time that you have them. Otherwise, you'll get some kind of bad feedback and distortion at a little bit higher. And lastly, this has a 1000 milliamp battery, which is about 3 hours of what they say, but in my testing, it's been a little bit lower than that, so just be aware that somewhere between 2 and 3 hours in battery life. So with all that out of the way, why do I like it? Well, I find it to be just pretty comfy, and I don't mean from an ergonomic standpoint, I just mean from the entire presentation. The D-pad feels really good, the buttons feel really good, actually holding it because it's horizontal feels nice. There isn't really anything here besides the small screen that holds it back. The screen is small, so if you have eyesight issues, then you might have an issue with this, he says while wearing glasses. But honestly, it's been fun just playing on this, and it has Wi-Fi, so you have all of your retro achievements, which is something that I like. So I can play Pokemon games, get my retro achievements, and have a nice little fun form factor to use it. I said it before, but I consider this to be in the same category as other novelty devices like the RG Nano and RG280V, although I would probably consider the 280V to actually be usable, and not really a huge novelty, although it does kind of dip into that category a little bit. But the RG Nano, I would buy this 10 out of 10 times over the RG Nano. That thing is just unusable. It's not even a novelty, it's a gimmick. But the 280V, you can pry out of my cold dead hands. I love my 280V. Software-wise, after you load the correct firmware for this device, it's actually a lot better than other reviews led me to believe, because coming into this, I heard that the software was janky and awful and all of that stuff, but haven't found any of that, to be honest. It's been really good on the software front. The only thing really missing is thumbnails and being able to scrape from the actual device, but other than that, everything else is here, and I haven't really found a reason or a use to go get custom firmware, for example. Everything that this device has out of the box, minus one single issue, which we'll talk about, has been great. Now there are custom firmware, so there is Tomato OS or MinUI. MinUI, of course, you're going to lose Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so it's more for people that want just a really minimalistic kind of approach to a device. But for me, again, I've been loving stock and I don't see a reason to change it. You have recents, you have favorites, you have games that load super quickly, over-the-air updates via the store, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and all of that. Like I mentioned, the only thing really missing is scraping, but everything else is there, and it's a nice little device to just flip the switch on the power button off and on, and off you go. I think the only thing really keeping this device from being exceptionally great is the smaller screen. Because I think if this was a little bit bigger with a 3.5-inch screen, a lot more people would be interested in this device, but as is with the little 2.4-inch screen, this ends up being in that novelty category, and so it's off of a lot of people's lists. Now, I'm going to turn the rest of this video into a guide of sorts, basically how to get you set up and running with this device when it comes, because a lot of the newer versions of this device are going to be running a test firmware, and if you don't replace that test firmware, it's not going to be a good device. There's a lot of issues, and mine actually became delivered with test firmware on it, and it was unusable until I replaced it. So if that's the case and scenario that you might be in, then let me help you get out of that and show you what to do. So like I said, the first issue is firmware, and check to see if you go to Settings, Device Info, if your version says Test at all. I didn't record what mine said before I updated it, but if it has test in the name, or if you can't open advanced menu at all in games, you'll need to upgrade your firmware. The one you're on is bad, like bad, not a scenario where you should just skip it and say, I'm fine, don't worry. You really need to update it. So let's fix that. Head to the TrimUI firmware page, linked in the description, and you can download the first two links. When the first one is done, the SD image recovery one, extract it and you should get an image file. Insert a blank SD card, not the one that came with the device, another SD card. Literally any one except for the one that came with the device. Download Rufus, linked in the description again, and open it. Make sure the device is your SD card, click Select and navigate to the image file that we extracted, and click Start. When it's done, safely eject the card and put it into your TrimUI Smart and turn it on. Keep an eye on the LED bottom left. It'll start flashing at some point and then it'll stop. When it stops, you're all set. Just turn off the device and eject the SD card. Put the SD card that came with the device back in. And head to Settings, Device Info, and it shouldn't say Test anymore. It should say the current version. And as of today, that's version 0.116 alpha. So that's awesome, we're almost there. Turn off the device, eject the SD card, and pop that SD card into your PC. Remember the other file that you downloaded, the first link called SD patch? Extract that now, and somewhere where you can keep track of what's extracted. Should be a bunch of folders like you see on my screen. Copy all of the folders and paste them onto your SD card, overwriting any files that it asks you to. While we're here, you can add or remove any games if you want. They're all in the ROMs folder, separated by system. So I'm going to take this opportunity to remove the games on the SD card and put my own. Optional step, but a lot of times the games included have issues with saves, like Pokemon for example, and other things. I'll leave a link in the description to a video where I talk about games and where to find them. But if you want a quick answer, the Tiny Best Set Go page is what you need. Once you're all done loading or not loading your ROMs, eject the SD card and pop it back into your device. You should now see that the advanced menu works for pulling up RetroArch, and also you have more tiles. There's recents, there's favorites, and a lot more. If you ever want to update the device in the future, you can now use the Store app, and if there's an update, it'll show it there, which you can do over Wi-Fi. For those that hate the overlays when you load up a game, open up the Advanced menu when you're in a game, go to On-Screen Overlay, uncheck it, back one, Overrides, then Save Core Overrides. You'll have to remove the overlays on a system-by-system basis, so just remember to do it for any systems that you don't want it on. Now, this next part is for people that want retro achievements, and this is a bit of a doozy. Make sure that you're connected to Wi-Fi. Open a game, head to Advanced menu, back one to the main menu, then Settings, User Interface, and click Show Achievements. Log in with your username and password, disable hardcore mode as well. Head to the quick menu, Overrides, and Save Core Override. Exit the game and come back to it. Now check to see if you're actually logged in and seeing achievements. Open the Advanced menu and scroll down to Achievements. You're all set, but you'll have to do these steps for each system. Right now, you just enabled it for whatever system you're currently playing on. The one issue again here, though, is you'll have to do the steps to show the Achievements menu for every system, and save Core Override. Just once per system, and it'll stick for all the games inside of it. Besides that, everything else with this device seems to work great. So just a small few changes and then you're up and running. That's going to be it for this one. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow, and hope you all have a good one.